Hello and a very good day everyone. So today we will learn on Power Query. As we refer in this particular file, we do notice we do have a data which has the dates, the quantities and amount. So based on this given data, what we want to do is we want to create a random range. Basically, for a quantity group, we want to know, okay, like quantity 1 to 5, how many products or how many total quantity is being sold. And then, for example, quantity 6 to 10, how many quantities are being sold. So basically, we want to actually group the quantity into separate ranges, like quantity 1 to 5 in one group, 6 to 10 in one group, and respectively. And then the other thing is, we want to actually calculate the sum for each quantity range. So how we are going to do it? So there are many ways to do it. So the first thing is I'm going to show you via pivot table. So first thing is, if just say you want to do a quantity sum range via pivot table, what you need to do is you need to highlight the data. Once you highlight the data, you go to insert and you can click pivot table. You click pivot table, you will notice a box will appear. I don't want to go to a new worksheet. I'll click on existing worksheet. So click it over here and I'll just put a location over N2 and then I press OK. So once pressing OK, so what I'll do is I will just stick the quantity. So the quantity will be at the values. So I'll just drag it, put it at the rows. So now we have the quantity and we will just put the amount at the values. So right now is what you can do is you can also try to group the quantity using pivot table. Meaning to say I'll put my cursor over here, right click and I'll go to group. So once I go to group, I'll put start at 1 and then add with 30 by 5. Basically, we want to group the range into 5 different quantities. And I'm going to press OK. And just like that, you can have this data accordingly. However, if you notice carefully, we don't have 6 to 10, we don't have 16 to 20 and 25 to 25. Why? Because this particular data doesn't have any sum or no quantity. So in this case, it will not show. But if just say we want to follow the similar format whereby we want 6 to 10, 16 to 20, 21 to 25, how we are going to do it? Well, in this case, we can also use Power Query to do it. So first thing is what I'll do is I will try to highlight the data. Once you highlight the data, what you can do is you can go to the data ribbon. You go to data ribbon and you click from table/range. Click it over here, you will notice that a box will appear. So I'm going to press OK. Once you press OK, it will go to Power Query Editor. So in this case, I'm going to do the same thing what I did in pivot table. But the difference is I want to have the range 6 to 10 and 16 to 20 and so on. So what I'll do is, okay, of course I don't want this, I will just delete. So if just say we want to have the range, what we can click is we can just press here, right click and click add column from example. So in this case, it will create a sample example over here. And then what I'll do is I'll just write here 1 to 5 and press enter. And then I'll do the same thing 1 to 5 so that it will calculate the proper range. So 1 to 5, 11 to 15, 1 to 5. So basically we are creating a range for this given quantity. And then I press OK. And just like that, we will have the particular data. And then from here, what we can do is we can calculate the range on calculate the sum of quantity based on this given range. So I'll just go to transform, click group by, and then what I'll do is once I click group by, a box will appear. And then over here, I'll just want to group by range and sum, calculate the sum for what? For the amount. And just like that, when I press OK, you will notice it will able to calculate the sum of amount from this given range. But if you notice carefully, it doesn't have 6 to 10, 16 to 20 or 21 to 25. How we want to make sure that that data is available? Well, what I'll do is I'll go to home, I'll create another query whereby I'll go to new source, other source, blank query. So in this blank query, I'll create a new query whereby equal list numbers. Why list numbers? Because I want to create a number, a random data, a new data, numbers from 1 to 30. So the list of numbers start with number 1 and count to 30. And then I press enter, or I can just tick this. Once I tick this, we have 1 to 30. I will convert this to a table. Once I convert to a table, I press OK, and just like that, we do have this data. So I'll do the same step whereby I'll press right click and I add columns from example. And then what I'll do is 1 to 5 enter, and I'll make sure that this data here is still 1 to 5, and then we will do have the proper sequencing, proper range from the given quantity, and then I press OK. And just like that, we do have a data like 1 to 5, 6 to 10. We have grouped the particular quantities according to the respective ranges. And then the next step is, what I'll do is I'll click remove row, remove duplicates, because I don't want duplicates. I remove duplicates, and here you go. Then since we do have this data, the next step is I go to merge queries, and then a box will appear, and I'll just want to merge with the table 1. So if you notice, we are not able to press OK because we need to choose the common column. Click this, and then press OK. And then you have this data. Expand this. I will just untick the original column and press OK. So just like that, now we do have the data. So I want to have only the range and also this particular column. So what I'll do is I'll go to choose column, choose columns. So I will unselect all. I only want the range and the count, and I press OK. And just like that, this is the data. So this is the quantity group or quantity range, and this is the sum amount. If you notice carefully, here we have null. So how to replace the null into 0? Because normally if the cell is blank, it will show null. But I don't want null, I want it to be 0. So I'll go to transform, replace value. So replace the null with 0. You have to make sure that the null is all small letters, so that because it is very case specific, because all the nulls is small letters. So what we need to do is we need to make sure all these are lowercase, replace with 0, press OK. And just like that, this is our data. We go to home. If we press close and load, it will load as a table in a new sheet. So I don't want to close and load. What I'll do is I'll click close and load to. Close and load to, and then what I'll do is I will press only create connection, because we do have 2 queries. So only create connection and press OK. And then over here you will notice it will pop out. So now if just say I want to only load as a table for query 1, I put my cursor here, right click, and then I press load to. Once I press load to, I press table and I press OK. And then just like that, you do have the data. So if you notice carefully, we have actually produced the particular data accordingly. So we can actually use Power Query, whereby we can actually group the quantity according to the respective ranges and also calculate the sum amount for each range.